And let's dig. Like, is it gonna force you to actually relook at what you're doing for iCar? Like, there's got to be some other value.
Uh,
Otherwise, this podcast is going to shut down a lot of certifications. Like, what's the value?
That's a good question.
This podcast is on OEM certification. What do you guys want to talk about?
We're going to talk about our
Where do you
feelings
guys
about it, or
want to
what?
start?
Yep.
Like some sort of sharing circle here. Okay.
What is it?
Yeah,
I don't know a lot about
Let's
it.
go around the circle.
What's OEM certification, and what are your thoughts on it today?
I think like most things, it probably started out with a good intention, or at least it was sold to shops as a good intention. I think at the forefront there was, safe repairs, understanding repair procedures, all that fun stuff. But I think for the most part, shops were already doing all that stuff. But this was a way to, I guess the idea was that you could hang a banner from your building and tell the world how certified you are, how good you are. And so I think it just kind of it grew from there, and I don't think it went in the right direction. I'll let the others weigh in before I get more in depth into the thought, but I think that's kind of where it started from.
I'm still thinking, so maybe I'll just jump in and do my sharing circle side of things here. And yeah, much like Norm, I do believe that there is some good intention in it. But I also believe that that's more of what it was sold to us.
Yeah, I
I
agree with that.
see the world so full of choice that is driving people to never know what they're truly getting. And right now, the OEMs are selling, this OEM certification so that they can guarantee to keep their customers, right? They want the cars fixed better so that the customers stay and they're not having to spend marketing dollars on them. That's not going to go in this world of choice because people are changing cars right away. They have choices in shops. They have choices in everything. There's just so much information that banner that you say is hanging from your store, it don't mean crap to 90% of the people that are coming to your door. And that's where things really, really get lost, unless the consumer can
You're
get behind
generous.
it.
You think it's 10%? I don't know. I don't know if it's even that.
Oh, I don't have the data. You're right.
Neither do I. I'm just flying by the seat of my pants, but I don't
Yeah.
think it means anything to anybody.
Yeah. Well, carry on then, Todd.
I'm being cynical. It's an interesting thing. I think, has anybody read these certification agreements and all the requirements for purchasing parts from the dealer and not using aftermarket parts, and so many of these things just feel um, like a way to build brand loyalty from shops. Like, hey, stop buying the insurance dictated part. You can suffer through potentially a lower margin and buy an OEM part, and you know who wins,
Yep.
right?
It's a
So
great question that won't be answered.
no, it's definitely we can surmise that everybody but the shop wins in OEM certification.
No, we can go there. I guess what I've heard from last podcast on DRPs and the value that we agreed or disagreed that they may have. They came out
Yes,
for a reason. Where did
they
OEM
did.
OEM certification first come out, and what reasons were they presented to what then I think you're saying, Todd, is there actually value?
Yeah, and I mean, we can get into that. You know, originally the very first experience with OEM certification was long before we had considered it as an opportunity as a business. Was back when Audi produced the all aluminum A8, and Audi actually, as a brand, intentionally certified a repair location in certain markets, and from what I understand, they actually took on the cost. And I think there's a shop in Vancouver. I think it's changed names. That was the only Audi aluminum certified shop in the province, and that was a strategic move on Audi's part because if they're going to sell this car, they wanted someone to be able to fix it when it got wrecked like that. And I think that's where it came from. And whether Audi set the stage, I don't know. That's just my own personal experience. And from that point of view, as like anybody, if you look at that and you go, okay, you want to produce this expensive all aluminum car, and you want to, as a brand, you don't want it to be a trash can if it gets hit. I think that not being cynical, I think that that's what brands wanted. And I've sat through at industry. We were at the PPG conference years ago, and they had a panel of OEM speakers there talking about all the different crash technology they're putting in their cars, and how certification was intended to repair the car in so that it was crash worthy second time around or third time around or whatever. But it almost was like they really just didn't want cars being repaired that shouldn't be repaired. And I actually think that's where it came from. There's certain things that you should not be doing to a car, and the industry was splicing cars in half. Like, whatever that's, what did they used to call it? That was before my time. But they would literally clip, I think was the word. They'd clip. And how many Mustangs came apart or whatever, like, I don't know, it's crazy stuff that happened. And that's way before probably all of our time. But I do think that the heart of it wasn't just finances or control. I do think that the heart of it was nobody should be doing this. Like, this is crazy. People are dying. Cars are coming in half. Like, what's going on here? So, but I think what it's evolved into, at least from an industry perspective, is a long ways from just repair quality. How would you guys feel about that? Is that accurate?
Yep, 100%.
Yep, bang on.
And like the last podcast was about DRP. DRP and this does not really work together at all.
Actually, they're in conflict with each other.
Yeah, 100% they are. I was sent an estimate with a used quarter today.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Because that is so far away from OEM certification that, well, when you look at both ends, right? You're trying to move forward and do things correctly and follow the OEM procedures. Then you have the people paying the bill saying use a used quarter. And it's like,
yeah,
that's a tough predicament for body shops to be in. That's for sure. Pick wisely, right? Or you're sending your stickers back.
Yeah.
So this,
Yeah, so it's developed, right? We can all agree that, like, to give credit where I think it's due is I think what it was born from, and the goal of it initially, and what we have now are two completely different things. We've landed in a completely different place than we as shops thought we were going.
so I heard you say what seemed to be the right intention in the beginning is not what it is now.
Yeah.
Let's talk dollars. Like, it costs money to be OEM certified.
Oh man.
For what, in the tune of $4,500 now?
Oh, that yeah, like if
Like,
we're talking about the OEC or whatever they call themselves now, yeah, something like that. And that's just for their audit process and just whatever they call it, media releases and things like that.
does it?
You know, let's look at the real costs, right? Like
Yeah.
what are we talking
Again,
about?
guys, I know very little. I got out in 2016. This was like a murmur
Yeah, totally.
for market share. It was like for us to be benefited and find ways to work with dealers to make sure, like you said, their cars got fixed properly,
Yeah,
which made sense. But
yeah,
like, does it
totally.
matter by brand? I mean, there's the initial what like a license purchase, and then all of the residual costs, like certain welders, certain frame machines, all that you have to purchase on the backside. Is that
Yeah,
talked about as well?
training. Yeah,
Yeah,
should be.
and then the material from the OEM that you have to purchase as well, access to that information, whether you're getting it right from the OEM or All Data or
Okay.
Repair Logic or whatever. And that's the one of many aspects of this whole thing that really bothers me is we're paying to be certified, and we're not even getting access to the repair information to make the
Okay.
proper repair. I think
Okay.
that's where you start to see the real motivation behind what this has turned into. It's not about, if it was about fixing cars properly, would that information not be provided to shops free of charge, or at least
Oh, okay.
within the included with that membership or that
Is
subscription?
that
Sorry.
the just so I know? Is that the vendor control, like the actual OEM controlling that, or is that the
Yeah,
program that you're paying for controlling that info?
No, the OEM.
Okay.
yeah,
Um, and so let's just, I don't want to single out one OEM because it's all, there's all kinds of certifications, but if we kept it simple to, let's say, the big three, and it's not that we couldn't get into talking Audi or Mercedes or Tesla. I mean, those are some interesting topics, and we could go there. A GM, Ford, or Dodge certification. What I heard you say is you're paying to ultimately apply for that. You have to meet certain equipment requirements. Probably of those three, most are pretty straightforward. It's not like, GM, Dodge, or Ford have some crazy different. I mean, Ford obviously went first with aluminum, which meant you need to have aluminum equipment.
yeah.
I'll strike the nerve on the aluminum room.
And
um, saw that one coming.
the aluminum vacuum and
Yeah.
Oh
whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, like come
So
on.
there was like
Okay.
almost like this keep up with the Joneses mad race years
Yeah,
ago,
yeah,
right? Pre-COVID. And then this kind of dust starting to settle and realizing, well, did I need that? And was it worth the cost? And now what I hear you guys saying is, should I keep paying for it? Am I getting value? So what was the mad race like? What was it like to see the dust settle? And now where are you guys at when it comes to, do I actually see, I think as Joel referred to, or maybe it was you, Norm, in pre-talks months ago, is am I getting more business out of it, or am I just left
yeah.
with a hangover now that the party's over?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think the party's over. I think that the competitive advantage angle is certainly gone, because people are realizing that customers
Yeah.
really don't care that much about it, and B, everybody's got it, so there's no more advantage. Instead, we've all picked up this extra cost, eroding our bottom lines. You the big three is actually a really good example because they're all unique in their own way, but I think they serve as great examples. So one, you've got Ford with aluminum, and what comes with that. So special, it's not only equipment, but it's also special training. There's certain ICAR courses that you need to take.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
the unique part about Ford is that, or sorry, GM, is that it's the only one that's certified through Mitchell. All the other ones are certified through CCC. So
Yeah.
what that means is that you're, at least with CCC, even though there isn't, a financial advantage or overlap in going in that direction and acquiring more OEMs, at least there's a little bit of efficiency in submitting all your documents and your information to one company, right? And then from there, check the boxes. Yes, that particular training or equipment carries through to these OEMs. You're good there. On and on and on we go. With GM, we're starting fresh with Mitchell, with a whole other company, and
Yeah.
we have to go down that path with them. So that's one of the things. And then you look at FCA with Dodge. So one of the latest requirements they just added is that shops have to subscribe to AutoHouse, which big shout out to Mike. I don't have a beef with Mike and AutoHouse and
No, Mike's awesome.
yeah,
Yeah.
and the service they provide, if people aren't familiar with them, is that using some of the information from your management system, they're able to provide you some reports that you can use to look into your business in different ways and share customized reports with your staff. Wow, I sound like an infomercial as I'm saying this, but
You do actually. Just shh.
I do. But where I'm going with this is all great information for me to review, for my staff to review, but this is not information that I want to share with someone outside of my business. That is just not something that I feel they should be privy to. So, but that's become a new requirement for FCA. I don't know if other ones. I'm sure others are going to see the opportunity and jump in on that, but um, I just don't agree with that. So and then so those three I think kind of round out some of the different scenarios that come with this whole OEM certification and some of the possibilities.
So again, just help me understand the initial feeling or thoughts, which made sense to call it the hype, or even at times I heard, or if you're not getting OEM certified, you better get on the bus, and that's a real thing, FOMO, fear of missing out, or like get with the times, which we're constantly tugged at in all kinds of business environment. The result, though, is what I'm after, guys. Is I'm not hearing you all excited about what you're getting right now. I don't know if I hear regrets as much. I just hear like, okay, now that we've done all this work, what's up? What am I getting? What's the actual ROI? So you don't have to give exact figures from each business. If you gave round figures to what you invested initially, and even if we came up with an average between the three of you, I'm sure most shop owners listening could relate. You just thought, again, if you are or are not Tesla certified, if you are or are not Audi certified, I'm saying, what would it take for a shop to get the big three certifications? You could throw a few Honda, examples in there too. To what are you getting on return? I haven't had anyone say, no, Lenny, it's really good. It's actually helping my business. I'm getting tons at the door. What's the ROI right now, guys? What did you invest, and what is the return on your investment?
We invested lots.
Round
It's
figures.
kind of a
Depends.
tough one,
Depended on the shop,
honestly,
right?
yeah, it's a lot of money and it's a lot of time. But I
Yeah.
also think that the negative side of the ROI is our staff. They've been, working towards this as well too, because they're the ones doing all of the training. They're the ones that are doing all of the work. And at the end of the day, when we don't get paid more and we don't get return on investment, what are they
Yeah.
getting?
Yeah.
Right. So it's just this frustration in the culture in the shop as well too. It's like, all right, man, our industry is going upward and onward. We're going to fix cars properly. We're going to have access to all this
That's what it felt
information, and
like.
this is going to be great. And then it's like, no, we just disappoint our staff because we don't see any of the ROI. We don't see the gains and the, the it's contentment and happiness that you've repaired a car 100% properly and that family is good to go. That's kind of taken away, as this OEM certification is just another failure of the industry to deliver on its initial promises. Well, how's that sound?
Spicy.
Yeah, it sounds pretty real.
We're opening up the onion. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
Go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought there.
well, I kind of, this right to repair legislation that's been going on since the early 2000s. And I think this has a huge driver in all of this.
Yeah.
You have to buy access to OEM repair certifications so that they get their car repaired properly, so that they get all of their ROI, right? But you can't have the info, and we're going to keep it proprietary. Like, That's the issue here. This has been going on for like this is 25 years of right to
Hmm.
repair legislation, and they are nowhere near. John Deere, in other industries is going backwards hard right now, where people won't even buy a John Deere anymore. They can't fix their damn vehicle, and it's the same thing here. Now we got people that want to do it right, but hey, pay to play, baby, pay to play, but we're not going to guarantee you anything in return. That's frustrating.
In
Where do we
term,
go from there?
Keep going.
I was just going to say, like in terms of ROI, I just to kind of reflecting back on my journey, I was very, very um, uninterested is the word in pursuing OEM certification. But I did see an opportunity with Toyota at the time because they were only certifying one independent shop per dealer that did not have their own shop. So back to your earlier comment about your journey, Lenny, mine was
Yes.
the same. So there was this feeling of you got to get in now before someone else does. And so what I did is I put together a presentation. I scheduled a meeting with our Toyota dealer in Portage. I drove out there, gave them a whole presentation on why I felt we would be a great partner. They agreed. They agreed to it, and off we went. And at the time, there was little or maybe even no cost for the actual certification because Toyota was outside of. It wasn't part of the CCC umbrella. It wasn't under that
Umbrella.
umbrella.
Yeah.
Um, so at that time, there was very little cost. Access to the OEM information wasn't that pricey, so off we went. But as it rolled and became something more, I started to realize that where I was getting an ROI was more in the relationship that I had built with that dealer and the conversations that they were
Yeah.
having with their customers one on one. Right. So that was just kind of an offshoot of what had happened. So we were getting people saying that, yes, we're coming because so and so at the Toyota dealership told us, this is where to go, and you guys have everything you need to give us a proper repair. And so fast forward to earlier this year where I dropped all of my OEM certifications. But that didn't happen without a conversations with those dealerships first and explaining to them the challenges that we were seeing and wanting their input on how we carry forward. And we agreed that those conversations with the customer and this understanding between the dealership and us was the most important thing. And
Yeah.
they agreed that we would that they would have no issue with us dropping our certifications. And shocker, nothing has changed. Our doors are still open. Customers are still coming in. We're still fixing their cars properly. They're still happy, and there is life after dropping certification. So I think inadvertently the certification process forced me to have that conversation with the dealership and forge that relationship, and I think that is a benefit. So if anybody out there is in a certification, and they can reflect and see if that's their own experience. But if you are not OEM certified, my advice to you would be to have the conversation with the dealership outside of the certification process first and make sure that you have that relationship established.
Yeah. Well said. I think you're completely on point. I remember back in whatever it was, 2016 or something, when we got Ford certified. CCC was like, "Congratulations, you're the first shop in your region to get Ford Aluminum certified. Cool." We talked to the dealers. We're like, "Hey, we put all this effort in. You think we were their number one referral?" No. Currently, one of the local dealers, their number one referral, is still not certified Ford. Never has been, never will be. Don't care. Are they a good shop? I think so. Do you think that has anything to do with it? No. Right. So we do have, pardon me, we do have some OEM certifications, but CCC, we dropped it with two of our shops this year. We're just done, man. It's like, you know what did change, Norm? I had more money in the bank to reward my employees for their hard work. We had more money to spend on training. You just don't. There's just no ROI on it, man. I think like it's like a meaningless sticker that you put on the wall these days, and it's sad. And you know the with Mercedes Benz in our one store, yeah, like we've got a great relationship with that dealer, as you were talking about with the Toyota dealer. And do we fix all the Mercedes that get crashed? No. Could we fix more? For sure. But does that dealership have conversations with their clients about using us as a certified store? You bet they do. And that means something. But the accountability in the industry to uphold, I mean, how many have you guys heard of anybody fixing vehicles by borrowing equipment from other shops?
Yeah.
That's crazy. You know that if you have to borrow the equipment, there's no way you're looking up the instructions. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Right? We've all heard of it. So does it hold any value? No. And I actually believed it would. As you know, Ford, I remember when they first came out and they said, hey, like, you can't put a body shop sign on the exterior of your building. And we're like, oh, so you can't actually display publicly that you're a certified fix Ford aluminum vehicles. Like, interesting. Okay. Why? Right? Like, well, because it actually provides no value to the customer at all. Is what, you know, like, because if it did, why would they not let you display it? It's like they don't actually want to be associated with you. I don't think they just wanted you to be a part of the program. That's how it felt.
The word accountability, Todd.
Yes, sir.
What I hear you saying is that you could be certified by OEM, potentially be referred by a dealer, as Norm alluded, based on relationships. So there's value in the relationship. Awesome.
Yes.
But that vehicle could come to your shop and be fixed properly. Would you then be able to mark that file, or the customer recognize it, or the OEM recognize that you did fix that vehicle properly? Would there ever be a...
Nope.
Okay, like no paper trail, no plaque to hang on your wall that I just fixed another car properly, like, good for me?
No.
All the documentation actually forcing shops to get better, or is it just additional paperwork?
You know, does loading a document to a file make you repair the car better? I'm not sure. You know, it may depend on the shop. It all depends on intention.
Yeah. As far as paperwork requirement and audit and stuff like that, we were already documenting all our files. Signing that piece of paper just gave them the authority to audit it, which again, I am not comfortable with. I don't need another set of hands in my business.
Okay.
Yeah. And to my knowledge, we've never actually had a file audited.
No.
From the CCC brands. Not one. It's not like they pulled up and said, hey, show me the photos, show me the rivet count, show me the, like, no, nothing. Oh, you got that welder sitting in the corner with 3 inches of dust on it? Okay,
Right next to the headlight aimer. Yeah, it's there. Yep.
Yep, it's there. Oh yeah, cool. You guys use these a lot? You know, I'm being cynical, but but it's on point, right?
Yeah.
So then, is there any requirement for a shop to actually fill out a paperwork if they're OEM certified?
Not that I'm aware of.
So, because I'm going to guess then, and you know, you hear murmurs of it, but how many shops do you think are actually completing the paperwork?
I don't know.
Good question.
Well,
I think if it was a requirement, you wouldn't have a high success rate. The fact that it's not a requirement, it's...
Are you guys filling out the paperwork in your shops?
For the ones that we need to, yes, of course.
And then, is there motivation in doing that other than it being a requirement? Does it actually does it help the end game?
No, I mean, for us, it's all about intention. It's like, you want to fix the car right? Like, yeah. You want pictures and documentation to tell the story? Yeah, I do. Yeah, we do.
Which,
That's as a group.
to Norm's
That's
point,
what we
you guys
want.
have been doing for a long time now.
Long time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was no big change in our process, and maybe I'm
No.
missing something, but I don't think there was a big change in our process when we became certified. We were already documenting
No.
the files properly. We were already taking the pictures we needed to take. Yeah,
So in essence, you're saying that it's not actually a whole lot extra if you have it built into your system already.
correct.
So shops that are not filling out the pay, if you could walk into somebody's shop, even as a customer, and say, "Hey, I'd like to see the paperwork that you filled out," or an OEM could say, "Hey, I understand you fixed Mrs. Jones's Ford pickup. I'd like to see the paperwork." There's a good chance that hasn't been completed if it's not built into their process.
If it's not built into their
Yeah.
process, yeah, I mean that's back to the
Chances are gonna be
conversation
zero.
about shop process. Correct.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So then why would a shop decide to either become OEM certified or maintain their OEM certification, aside from your point, Norm, the relationship you could build with a local dealership? And kudos, right? I mean, it's great to have a local dealer be able to say, you go and see, St. Claude or Prestige or JD Collision, because
Whatever. Yeah.
they know how to fix your vehicle. There's power in that. But would there be any other reason to even entertain becoming OEM certified or maintaining your OEM certification? Unless, like, Dig, like, is it gonna force you to actually relook at what you're doing for iCar? Like, there's got to be some other value. Otherwise, this podcast is going to shut down a lot of certifications. Like, what's the value?
That's a good question. For us, captivity was a bit of a driver for keeping the ones that we did, which means they limit certain parts. So shops, you don't have access to certain parts, therefore not truly being able to fix the car. So, I think that for us was a bit of a driver, and that's something that we enjoyed with some of the brands that we're certified with, is like, yeah, sure, like, any shop can buy a front bumper cover and a front fender, but like if that car was actually hit, you couldn't buy them. So it had to go to a certified shop. And the insurance companies, just to avoid pain, were pretty aware of that. And they're like, hey, yo, like, you're not going to be able to fix that. Like, AB Auto Body or whatever. Like, the phone call was coming from the insurance company pretty quick, right? Like, hey, you can't fix that. We know this. We don't want you to get into it. Like, you pulled that claim. They're on the phone. So I think the appeal initially was definitely with the insurance companies. Charmed us a little in the early stages on like, hey, we're going to like limit shops. Like if you're not Ford Aluminum, you're not going to be able to fix a Ford Aluminum truck. Okay. Like that seems like a cool pursuit because we're really interested in being able to do that long term. So, there was like a promise of an ROI. But what I've seen is just a shift into what appears to be sort of the transfer of liability. Well, you're certified. You got to do the right thing. You got to follow the instructions, and it's not about pay. It's about liability. Is how a lot of it feels. Well, you can't. You got to make sure that your technician isn't gluing that roof skin on or whatever, the John Eagle thing was, where it was like, yeah, that was a big deal, right? So I think shops are moving away from that because that was like from an industry standpoint, was like a pretty scary thing. We were like, whoa, you can't let a technician go rogue. You actually need to ensure that they're following the instructions. So, it's like you're limiting your exposure. So now it's just an exposure game. Like, oh, are we doing the right things? Well, you better have it documented because if something happens, like you're gonna be the one. You're gonna be the one hanging. And if you didn't ask the insurance company to pay for it, or even if you did, like, it's still you, man. Still lands on us.
Mm-hmm.
So is a OEM certification like optional or mandatory?
It's completely optional,
Yeah, and
but following repair procedures that are available is not optional.
Yeah.
right, right, and that's what I was going to ask Todd. So, and Joel, I'll get you to weigh in on this too. But like in Manitoba, our insurance company didn't say you need to be Ford certified to fix Ford aluminum vehicles. They actually came up with their very small, not a certification, but just an audit process where they sent someone from their team to our shop and just made sure we had, the rivet gun, the welder, and a handful of ICAR courses. Again, no cost to us. And that was just for them to say that, okay, you're good to pull these claims. You're capable of fixing them. You have everything. You've checked all the boxes, right? So our insurance company never forced the Ford certification, but they just audited us themselves. So in the private market, what are they doing over there?
So wait, just Norm, before we go too far, did they limit who pulled those?
100%.
Oh, so that's like real captivity. That
Yeah.
seemed like a worthy investment.
Well, yeah, but
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
the nice part is, so now I dropped my certification with CCC.
It doesn't
But
matter,
it
though,
doesn't
to you.
matter because the insurance company came in, they audited me, they took pictures of my tools, they're comfortable with me working on stuff. Whole other conversation.
Interesting.
But
Wow.
they
Yes.
are not forcing the OEM certification.
No. No, and I think in the Alberta private area, there are some insurance companies that are offering labor rate incentives to being OEM certified. Much like they do kind of with like premium cars as well too. They'll have a higher labor rate for a premium car as well too. But as for having a certification, there's not much going on. Years ago, when we were individually signing direct repair agreements, most of them would do an annual audit where they were checking our equipment, just like Norm just said there, having the rivet gun, having the equipment was basically, yeah, you can fix those cars. I No matter what certification you have here, you're still dealing with insurance companies telling you how to repair the car and what you can and can't charge for. So,
Of course.
right
Totally
back,
different conversation. Yeah.
yeah. So you start the conversation with this is the right way to repair it, and you end the conversation frustrated and arguing and wondering how much you have to compromise your integrity in order to stay in business.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, repair
Very
the car properly.
interesting.
Follow
Yeah.
the procedures.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. And that's
And
the
I
other
just
thing.
wanna
Like,
be
I don't know about you guys, but one of the requirements with our insurance company when we're completing a structural repair is we have to submit a number of pictures of, we have to send pictures of the cut lines first. So sorry, I should back that up. We need to send the OEM documentation first, the repair plan of what we're going to do. We need to send pictures of the planned cut lines. Then we need to send pictures of the undressed welds and then a picture of the completed repair, the structural repair. So all those things need to happen. And that's obviously outside of OEM certification. That's with the insurance company. Is that the same for you, Joel and Todd? No?
We need to have some of those things available. Um, but truthfully, I've never heard of anybody actually being audited on an actual like structural thing like that. I have definitely heard of a component being replaced and someone receiving a phone call saying, "Hey, the OEM procedure says you needed to calibrate that." Like,
Yeah.
I've heard that. from the insurance. So they're definitely reading the repair instructions, maybe not all the time, but I've never when it came to like quality of repair like that. No, I haven't seen that.
Okay, because
We do it,
it's I
but
can't confirm this, but I mean I have heard that they have reviewed a file and the cut line on a quarter, for example, was not in alignment with what the OEM called for, and by the time they got to the shop to have that conversation, the job was done. Apparently, they made them redo it. Told them we're not going to pay for this.
as they sh- as they should.
So
Man, that would be nice if they took it that seriously.
No, and actually, you kind of bring up a crazy, crazy argument that I think I might get Lenny to smile a little bit there. But you basically said that your insurance company
Nah.
is kind of making you do a proper repair plan with documentation and wow.
yeah,
What an
What?
amazing, amazing philosophy that could be just spread around to all OEM certifications and say, you know, do a proper check-in and then do a proper repair plan, and then we can go from there. Because just
You might actually
implementing,
get Lenny to smile on that one.
yeah,
I know,
yeah. You might,
but
and for all that documentation, we get paid a very generous fee of $15 per claim. So that's the other thing. I mean, for us, it's whatever. We're already capturing all those things, so
Mhm.
it's just a matter of sharing the
Yeah.
pictures. We don't have to
Yeah.
take new pictures. We don't have to, oh crap,
Yeah.
we have to actually
Wow.
read the OEM documentation on this one because the insurance company told. We're already doing those things. So we're just sharing it.
Mhm.
But I guess how this relates back to the broader conversation about OEM certification is all this is happening without the OEM being involved other than in us reading the repair procedures, right? CCC
That
is
they
not
don't
stepping
provide.
in and saying and doing all these
They
things.
no,
Ford, GM are not
no,
stepping in and doing these things at all,
no.
right?
My
Mhm.
favorite one was Hyundai and Kia. Like, have you guys found any repair procedures for those things lately? I think some of the new ones might have like very, very vague, but you're certified in Hyundai and Kia. Oh yeah, cool. What does that mean? It means like they don't even make repair
I
procedures for those
know.
cars,
I
let
I
alone like I was like, you've got to be joking
I
me.
was
Like
looking
it's a
one up the
name.
other day, and I think I was in Repair Logic, and I was like, oh man, there's no procedure for this. I think it was a Hyundai. So I went over to All Data. Of course, we have two subscriptions. Why
Hmm.
not? Just
Yes, yeah, we do too.
I
Yeah, of
have to get rid
course.
of this money somehow.
Let's add that to it.
And of course, nothing in there either.
Yeah.
So it's like, wow, okay, well, I guess we're just gonna have to rely on our training and do what's right.
The best you can, right? And that's what you do.
Mhm.
But it's just hilarious. It's like, what? Where's the value in that? Well, I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, and that's tricky because there's adhesive on that door. What adhesive do we use? The OEM's not telling us
Yeah, you
what
got no,
adhesive to use. Like, do you
no.
actually care for us to repair this vehicle properly? Tell us what damn adhesive you're using. Like,
Now we're getting somewhere.
I don't think they
Right?
actually want, but Norm, I don't think they actually want you to repair the vehicle properly.
no, well,
Hey, you want to
we've
know
touched on
something
this, yeah.
crazy?
Yeah,
You know that the structural adhesive that you use on Mercedes Benz, do you know that they have a special light that they can shine and it glows?
Really?
They can actually if somebody say like there was a fatality or something weird happened, they can actually they can actually vet whether it's been fixed properly. It's like there's some cool stuff out there.
Now
hmm
you gotta go. Now you
There's
gotta
some
go
neat
buy
stuff, but
a glow light
you need to be
arm. You gotta go buy a glow light.
wh-
So,
I'm gonna buy a glow
whatever that
light.
is. I don't know. Yeah.
Joel, what did you say about not wanting them fixed properly?
Well, at the end of the day, they are a publicly traded company that is making money, and the best way to make money selling cars is to sell more cars.
Yeah.
And if you really want to look into the real reason why cars are so expensive to repair and why procedures are getting so technical and why they are embracing safety in my viewpoint to a fault in a sense is to sell more cars.
Oh yeah.
It's as simple as that. Follow the money. They are selling cars left and right. The lifespan of a car is less than it's ever been, not because they don't work anymore, but because the structural integrity or a part is too damn expensive. And like the total losses that we see go through that, the old body man in your shop just goes, oh, I could fix that all day, right? But no, you can't. It costs too much money, and that I think is one of the biggest drivers of what OEM certification has become.
Interesting.
Sell more cars.
So again, just so we're clear, I don't see any three of you saying to not fix the car properly. That's a given. We have to come and visit us. We did a podcast on the autopsy of a bad repair, and we all took that as we better really go back to our floor and.
Hey, I got a wicked question for you. Is that shop that did it certified?
Yeah.
Thank you.
So
That's exactly it.
Wow.
That we can put a link to that podcast again back. Be it an older car, we did argue maybe there weren't repair procedures available for that year, make, and model.
Sure.
But what we saw as a result was nothing to do with looking up on computer to see what a welded rear body panel should look like. I mean, we all know what a welded rear body panel should look like, what a dressed weld should look like. So I'm still not quite clear on then why you would invest in OEM certification, like actually pay the fees. And let's just be honest, there's people out there that are I guess on the other side saying it's the only way to go because it takes time, energy, and money to be really good at what you do and stay on top of things and own the right equipment. I mean, I get it. To Joel's point, right? Times are changing with cars, technology included. So we have to have the equipment that we need to properly fix the car. And we have to, educate ourselves, educate our techs, educate our customers, and educate our dealers who probably don't quite understand always what's going on with the vehicles that they're selling. Of the cars that are not getting written off and being repaired, what does owning an OEM certification sticker on your, I guess, the office wall? You can't put it on the front door, you said, Todd? Like what?
Oh no, there's just certain brands that you're not allowed to advertise.
What's the point of having OEM certification?
Yeah, that's a good question.
When you're at industry events with your peers, you can do that.
Yeah, is it bragging rights? Not really. Like I think it was.
It definitely was.
But now everybody, there's probably we're probably frustrated because that it's so diluted. It's so meaninless. There's no captivity. There's like very little ROI. Like I don't know if any of your businesses have seen any sort of change. You get certified. It's not like you get like flip a switch. Like it's just not like that.
No. Well,
so it's not controlled by the automaker, is what you're saying?
What do you mean?
The certification,
yes.
The certification you're applying for is not controlled or managed by the automaker. It's not.
Some are, most aren't.
Okay, so of the some that are, I guess, great. Then you get to choose whether that's the vehicle you want to repair and then go after it. Great, right?
Yeah.
It's not controlled by the insurance, at least to Norm's point. They just wanted to make sure you have the right equipment and you're fixing the car properly, but it wasn't like actually controlled. I mean, if you didn't have the right tool, Norm, they'd probably either say you need to get one or we're going to have problems. But that's not OEM certification. That's just saying, yeah, you're qualified to fix this type of vehicle in our eyes.
Yeah.
It's not controlled by the dealers. Or let's talk customer for a moment. Do you guys have customers that are asking questions like, are you allowed to fix my car? I mean, the answer would still be yes. We have all the right equipment. We have the right skilled technicians.
Yeah.
So who's controlling it?
It's That's a great question, Lenny. We have had especially with the more captive brands. I mean, they for sure. Um, that's the question. But we have had the odd like sort of off-brand one that it's you're like they're like, oh yeah, the dealer told me you're the certified thing, but you're like you're an outlier. That's a really rare conversation, and it mainly came down in our area. It came down to having to do a warranty for a dealer that we weren't their favorite shop, and they sent the car to a different shop, their favorite shop, and Honda or what, I think it was Honda. Anyway, I could be wrong, but they denied the claim and said no, 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 you can't take it there. They're not Honda certified. So it's like, okay, well, that's in the last like 8 years, we've probably had like three. Like, like Honda builds a good car. They don't rust out. And that's what we were fixing it's like, really? Like, you want us to fix a rusty quarter panel? Like, this thing needs to be replaced. Oh yeah, they won't approve that. Like, oh man. And it's like, okay, well, so when we actually had to, when we canceled our certification, we actually had a warranty in queue that we had to call them and tell them that we had handed over our certification. They were going to have to go get it fixed somewhere else. But I mean, it tells you one thing when like the dealerships aren't even certified in their own brands.
Yeah.
That's like the most telling irrelevancy of this whole thing. Like when you've got a dealership that owns a Honda store and they're not Honda certified, or you've got a GM store that's not GM certified. Like, come on now, what's going? Like, really? Is it? It's there's the evidence.
So you're
Well, and to
saying
top
like
that off,
a dealership that owns a body shop, but the body shop is not certified under their brand.
yep.
Totally.
Okay.
Like, hilarious.
And then to top it off, their own warranty procedures aren't following their OEM procedures.
Okay.
Thanks. That's exactly right.
So good.
Yeah,
Mhm.
it's like, wait, what? It's insane. So crazy. This is a total racket. What's going on here?
Yeah.
So recap, it could help you or force you to be better relationship with your local dealer. It could force you to reevaluate the skill level of your techs and the iCar, qualifications. It's a guide at best is what I'm hearing to say, check your stuff.
Yeah.
So there's a fee to be part of this so-called program. I understand. What would actually make it valuable? Because what I heard is it's not really driving work to our door. It's not really actually forcing the industry to be better. Regardless of the cost to repair, I get that. It's just that's a reality. Maybe another podcast, but what would actually make it valuable? Because I hear each of you either are giving up or considering giving up on this campaign. What would create the actual positive change or the needed change that we could proudly say no, OEM certification has a valuable place. The plaque on our wall means something. What would you guys like to see happen?
It's a good question. I think a real solid starter for me would be that you would get access to the OEM repair procedures for the OEMs you're certified in. So it's, hey, I've demonstrated to you that I have the training and the equipment to perform safe and proper repairs on your brand, and in exchange for that, you will grant me access to your repair procedures, again ensuring that these vehicles will be fixed properly. I think that's the starting point. I'm not even saying that would get me to buy in, but that would be a starting point. Like,
Such a
Mhm.
basic thing that costs them nothing.
exactly. And I understand the whole idea with it being proprietary. I mean, I would sign if we need to sign an agreement that we're not going to share these procedures with other shops, whatever, that part is whatever. But I mean, back to your question about return on investment, to borrow a line from Tom Bissonnette, if you're netting 10%, how much sales do you have to make to pay for $4,500 worth of OEM certification? That's a lot of glue.
Exactly.
That is a lot of glue.
That's a lot.
So
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if I can answer your question. I think even if the price remained the same and they offered access to all the OEM procedures, I would think about it. I don't know that I would still be there, but I would at least start thinking about it.
Yeah, I mean, ROI is the only game, right? Like, wait, if we're not in business for an ROI, like, what are you doing?
So, Todd,
Right? Like,
what would make it better? What would make you consider looking at it from your business point of view?
um, captivity, captivity of market share, possibly that makes some sense. You know, if you knew that being the one of two or three, say Ford Aluminum, just as an example, that you get all those jobs, yeah, that's something that means something.
So differentiation, like it actually does put me in the spotlight that I've done the work, I've done the
Yeah.
training. I
Hey,
am
and ongoing accountability, Lenny, like among the group. You imagine that national body shop like thing actually meant something. You know, that they were actually proactively auditing and let's like make sure that you're actually doing the right things as a shop, or make sure that the shop down the street or across town that is also part of that network is also upholding their end of the bargain, so that we can look at each other and go, you know what, we're in this game together. We're doing the right things. It sure is hard when you're doing the right things to see evidence of everyone else around you doing the wrong things. And you know, we have a newer employee in one of our stores, who's been in the industry a long time, longer than I have. He's worked in a number of different shops, and he has come into one of our shops that fixes a lot of Fords. And he said to me the other day when I was there, he's like, I got to tell you, man, I had no idea how wrong everyone else is doing this until I started here. He's like, I literally had no idea that we were just doing everything wrong. He's like, I'm embarrassed. I don't know what to say. I'm going to be better moving forward. Obviously, we're providing an environment where it's like doing the right thing actually matters. But he's like, everywhere I've been, man, like nobody is doing this properly, because I've never been provided a repair procedure, and I've never actually been given the space to read it and apply the right adhesive like Norm says, or the right rivets in the right spot. Like he's like, I just didn't know.
So better access to repair procedures on the ones that are available, or just even be honest when they're not, and then work with the shop to understand what is best for that vehicle. That makes sense to
Yeah.
me. Differentiation, or just captivity, the ability to say, well, you cannot buy that weld-on structural component because you're not tagged as certified to weld it on, so we can't sell that to you, right? So to speak.
Yes.
And then, Joel, what would get you to pay attention or reconsider or be super proud of that plaque on your wall because you're OEM certified? What needs to happen?
So I'll go with the two things that you just said there, but I would also say that everybody in this goddamn industry get on the same page. Like we all want the same thing. We all want to repair these cars as efficiently as possible and as safely as possible. Those two things. Pretty simple, right? The profit needs to come from everybody in this industry. But right now they're all working against each other, fighting against each other. Like,
Race to
get
the
over
bottom.
your yeah.
Race to the bottom
And
is a
like,
good term. Yeah.
and I don't like that's the frustrating part, because we all want the
That's a
same
good
things,
point.
but we're all talking out of different sides of our mouth to try to move some sort of hidden objective that we're hiding from the other guy. But
Yeah, it's
we
crazy.
all want the same thing. We really, really do. I
Yeah.
believe that. And you know, you see it in the political landscape right now, where when people actually have a real conversation together, they find out that they're both pretty centrist.
Yeah.
They're fighting about the right and the left. Well, it's no different in our industry here. And frankly, it's gross. And if I see another new leader of an insurance company come up to reinvent what a DRP agreement is,
Yeah.
sorry, you're freaking wrong. You can rewrite those DRP agreements all you goddamn want. It is not changing the fact that the car and the customer aren't getting taken care of. You can have your discounts and all of this stuff, but it does nothing to solve the problems that all of us are experiencing on a day-to-day basis. So pay for your repair plan, pay for the OEM documentation, and let the body shops fix the goddamn cars the way they know to in the right way. Let's have the support of the OEMs in doing this. Let's have the support of the insurance companies in doing this.
Yeah.
And
Get on with it.
maybe we'll actually look back at this conversation and say, things can change. But I'm not feeling so goddamn confident, even though we are having this conversation, because we can't even talk about what our ROI is.
It
Not one
seems
of
to
us
me
can give an
like
answer.
Joel, it's like you almost need like a like a revival. You almost need a revival. You almost need all the shops in this country to go, you know what? Screw this. I'm going to abandon everything that we've been doing for the last 7 or 8 years, and we need a like fresh reset on this thing.
So
Like, what are we actually going for here?
what I'm hearing
Who's
is
making all the money?
What I'm hearing is a shop centered certification program.
Maybe.
Sure. The OEMs have to be involved in this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No way around that. As long as they keep inputting new technologies, they have to be involved for a long, long time. How they work that with insurance, we're seeing some changes there. There is some OEM insurance that's been rolling out in the last few years. Hasn't really taken off just yet, but it's happening. Maybe we'll see what happens to the OEMs when it's their own insurance company paying. Will they just go by their warranty rules, or will they go by their certification rules?
I think that I heard something the other day, which is maybe it's related, maybe it's unrelated, but there's like a bit of a general belief in the automotive industry that there's really only going to be room for 3 automakers worldwide because the cost to R&D and put out new products and things like that is just getting too big. Someone had said that Stellantis was trying to merge with GM before their CEO, whatever happened there. But I just think like, whoa, there's a lot shifting. I think you're right. I don't, whether the industry can self-certify, I don't know. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you need the OEMs involved. You need them to want it. They need to keep in mind costs. I think they are actually like some of this stuff is becoming so complicated and the engineering of some of these repairs is just so insane that you're like, well, you must just want this written off. Like you may as well just put in bold print that if the car's out a certain amount of mils, here to here, that like it's a throwaway. Maybe that's the best. Maybe for passenger safety, like really, if we're not interested in keeping people safe, like what are we doing? Right. So it's like maybe there is, and maybe they need to be a little bit more full disclosure about their agendas. I don't know. Like we want to do the right things. I don't want to be fixing something that shouldn't be fixed. Like that's just a reality with EVs and battery protection systems in car. Like you don't want to be messing around with that stuff. Right? I don't know any shops that want to like fly under and like have a car that catches on fire the next time it gets hit. Like this seems really bad.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
So if certification doesn't actually help the shop, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because again, to recap, it's not bringing necessarily more work to your door unless you're out educating your dealer and really helping them understand what's important about the car and the customer. It's not really forcing the industry to get better when it comes to technician training. It's more of a a catch-all. You could
Yeah.
easily have a shop that is certified still not fixing the car properly, so the liability comes into question. That hopefully that car is not in an accident, because if it is, it's going to leave a lack of paper trail that says, well, they were certified but they still didn't do it right. So there's no actual accountability. And the customer, I guess, ultimately is not actually safer or feeling safer. Is it then just a sticker?
Yeah.
Hmm.
So I'm going to put some more thought into the whole shop certification thing. I mean, again, yes, Joel, you're pulling at my heartstrings, and why we exist is proper check-ins, proper repair plans. Pretty hard to deny what you're doing on a vehicle if you just got it to a proper repair plan. I mean, it's either going to be a write-off or it's going to show in shining colors what needs to happen. Then, let the people fix the cars and let the proof be in the quality that comes out the other end. But you don't actually have to fix the car to prove that you're qualified to fix the car if you can show a proper repair plan. But I'm still not sure we got the answer about why OEM certification either was a good thing and failed, or never really did take hold, because there's no.
Oh no, it took hold.
Okay.
It took hold. I mean, how many shops are not certified in something these days? Like everybody's got it.
Well,
That's
when
what
I say took hold,
it's
though,
hit dilution.
did it actually improve things?
There was some progress made, definitely, by creating awareness and putting training at the forefront. Did it do much for you, Todd? Because you're actually very involved and really looking at it. But for the overall industry, yeah, I think it brought up some of the bottom to the middle, or they just or they just
I
disappeared.
like,
Yeah,
yeah, maybe, yeah, yeah. There
that's
was some positive
progress.
spin-offs. Yeah, there definitely
Mhm.
was. Like we can't take that away. I mean, how many welders or how many shops did I? Somebody gave me a stat on Saskatchewan, and sadly we don't have Saskatchewan representation in this call, but the amount of shops that don't have a compression resistant spot welder is like apparently it's phenomenal. And there's so many cars these days that you're not allowed to make make spot plug weld on. Like you're just that's like not even a thing. You're not allowed to do it. And meanwhile, they just don't have like a very basic tool that a lot of shops have had for 20 years. Yeah,
Yep.
like yeah, in the shops where or in the provinces where there was this bigger drive, Manitoba, there was definitely a bit of a drive there. There's definitely been a bit of a drive in BC. Has it infected a bit of change? Potentially. In equipment purchases, the suppliers loved it. That's for sure.
Well, my hopes, as for the very reason we started this podcast, guys, is that no man an island. To Joel's point, we need to continue talking. Hopefully,
Yeah.
those who've listened to this, it probably stirs up some emotion on, as you said, left and right, Joel, but across the spectrum of people who are proud of the plaque or stickers on their wall and have worked hard to get there, who have seen some benefit, to the ones who maybe have not, or the ones who are not certified. But yeah, we're really, really hoping that out of this podcast, with three amazing shop owners talking about some true feelings and concerns about it, I do hear a call to action, that there is still opportunity to salvage something out of this. I don't know that we got a clear answer, but some
No,
good
I don't
suggestion
think
to
we
those
did.
who are hard after making sure cars are fixed properly. And no one's going to deny that. No one's going to be like, well, you do want the car fixed properly. We do. But what is it actually taking to get there, and what is it costing? Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that we didn't quite get an answer of the ROI. Um, Perhaps that's just something that's not easy to put a number on, but for every $1,000 you're spending in shop certification, what is it actually doing to make your business more profitable? If that's a better way of putting it.
I think the fact that we
Yeah.
can't put a number on it is why we're questioning it in the first place, right? That's the
Okay.
that's the whole purpose.
Okay.
I think if it came out and slapped us in the face, we'd talk about it and would get to it. But
Cool.
in terms of call to action, a piece of advice that I kind of stumbled upon when I was, basically throwing out all this paperwork to be OEM certified, is the checklists are all publicly available online. So if you want to be Toyota certified through CCC, that is available online. Um, One of the goals that I set for myself is that I'm going to review those requirements annually. I'm going to go through the checklist as if I was going to get certified and make sure that I have
Yeah.
all those things. I'm going to fill it out, I'm going to scan it, and I'm going to keep it. I think it's a good exercise to go through. It doesn't cost me anything except for the paper that I printed it on. And also,
Right.
if something comes out where there's a new requirement directly related to a new, um, to new technology, at least we'll know about it in that sense. So I think that's a takeaway if, for shops that are not OEM
Hmm.
certified, but maybe want to work towards making sure that they're doing all the right things. That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Well, that's what I wanted to finish with. My observation or suggestion is that any service provided, that's you guys as collision centers, ourselves as business coaches, an insurance company selling a policy, a dealer selling a car, and or in this case selling OEM certification, is we do have to prove value somehow, and often a dollar amount is helpful because it's an important measurement in business is
Yeah.
profitability. But there's the value of put a value on making a customer feel comfortable with their brand new GMC 1-ton pickup that just got wrecked by a moose hit, and now they've got to figure out where to bring their vehicle. I mean, that's trauma, right? That's hard-earned cash into a brand new pickup that now has been wrecked. How do we put a value on that to say, no, you're choosing the right shop and we're going to show you how? um how, it's a call to action to say put an ROI to it, is what I heard you
Hmm.
guys say. Help us understand the ROI, because it's getting pretty foggy as to what's actually going to help us be more profitable.
Hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I heard you guys say.
Yeah.
To your point, Joel, about everybody talking the same language. I think the collision repair industry needs to be talking about being OEM qualified, not OEM certified. I think that's what we're after here. I think we can qualify to do these repairs. We know what it takes to make the proper repair. So I think that's some food for thought into
Hmm. I like that.
how
Yep.
to just even talk
and
What
about
a
it.
and
novel idea.
I mean, most people are good, so I'm going to guess that somebody came along at which point OEM certification became a good topic for that reason. So that you just said it, Norm, is the how, right? How would OEM qualified look different from what is known as OEM certified? And uh, I hear a plea for change. Like, again, if indeed this is something that is going to help us, and in ways it has, let's center in on that. How do we get shops, collectively to agree that no, if you're going to have a sign above your door that says we fix cars, and that you're going to unlock your door and open that up to the public, that you're going to have qualifications that are across the industry, does need to happen from within the industry, not some outside source that's going to, i.e., sell you some plaque that says, yeah, you can do this. Like, that's a great thing if indeed you did the work, but again, to Joel's point, is how does that happen from within? So that's a great question. It's a good one
Yeah.
to linger. Hopefully, again, those listening can shed some light on their own perspectives, and I look forward to seeing all kinds of responses. I'd love to know that there's a shop out there that says, no, guys, we've proven that OEM certification is the only way to go, and here's the reasons why. And then, of course, whether it's an insurance, public or private, and whether there's an OEM out there that is listening in and can help shops, through this conversation, understand, no, there's value, there's an ROI. We need to get clearer on it. Awesome. Let's start talking. So,
Totally.
Yeah.
right on, gentlemen.
Perfect.
I appreciate your time. And of course, to those listening, we're always asking people to, like and subscribe, mostly just to get the notifications that when we do launch another podcast. We're again always looking for topics to talk about. We still got a pretty good list just from you three guys, but anyone that could help us, throw the topic out there that you want us to review, and we're always looking for new content. So
Yep.
Yep. And
sweet.
comment on the ROI. Love to hear
Yeah.
your guys'
Yeah.
opinions on that.
Yeah,
100%.
absolutely.
Right on. All right, thanks guys.
All right, take care.
All right.
Yeah.
Hey,
Appreciate
brothers.
it, gentlemen.
Have a great one.